some more sex and violence, with a helping of roller derby, outer space, and criminal trials, that means you miss SKINEMAX. Pick up my new book, SKINEMAX, a love letter to all things softcore in the 90s, over on Amazon, which is on ebook, paperback, and hardcover. I hope you enjoy.
Hello again, everybody who watches me. It's been a while. Took the month of January off, just had to recharge after a lot of busy shit last year, and starting off the videos here on the main channel by doing a fresh from the theater review. I just got back from seeing Sam Raimi's Send Help. And before I get into the movie, just want to start off a few things. Yes, I'm wearing a sweatshirt, not something I usually wear in these videos, but in case you haven't noticed, this winter it's really fucking cold outside these days, and if anyone's wondering why I'm wearing a Boston shirt, this is actually a Christmas gift from my cousin who's from Boston, so I figured, what the hell. I think it fits pretty well, and my first foray into the cinema this year, before I even saw the movie, was off to a wacky start, in the sense that the guy who I got the ticket from, who I got my concessions from, was a pretty interesting fellow. All I'll say is, he looked either very dazed or very fucking tired, and he almost got my order wrong, and then immediately went, sorry, I don't know what I'm saying, I've been smoking crack, which I'm like, okay, just, I don't know if that was a joke, or if he was being serious, but either way, not a promising start. And I'll say, after seeing this movie, not sure it was a great start of the year. Like, it is better than the movie I went to see last year, Osgood Perkins' The Monkey, which was a popular film, but I really fucking hated that film. And this movie, Send Help, is... I've been seeing a lot of hype for it, and I want to see it because it's Sam Raimi, and I haven't seen everything he's done, but I have seen the major ones, the Spider-Man movies, the Evil Dead movies, and I love a majority of those a ton, so I'm like, I'll give Sam Raimi a watch, and it's cool that he's still very successful, because a few years ago he did the Doctor Strange sequel, but that was like his first film in over a decade. So it seems like he's coming back, and it was interesting to see what he had to do after so long. And this movie's been getting a lot of hype, and I saw a trailer that called it the #1 movie in the world. So I'm like, wow, Raimi really is still going strong, which is cool. And now that I've seen it, kind of like The Monkey, I don't have the general reaction that everyone else is having, but this is a lot better than The Monkey. It was a lot better made, and overall, I'd say my opinion of this is very, very mixed. Like, everyone's talking about this like it's like a 5-star movie. After seeing it, I'm kind of teetering between 2 and 2.5, and I'll get into why. First, the plot. Rachel McAdams, who I really like as an actress, stars as a woman working at a company, and she's passed over for a promotion by her very asshole, very sexist boss, played by Dylan O'Brien. The two of them are on a plane going on a business trip, which then crashes, and they are the only survivors. So now they're stuck together, and it's established pretty early, she's a survivalist enthusiast, nature enthusiast, and she apparently auditioned at one point to be on the show Survivor, and he doesn't know jack shit about how to survive in the wild. It's pretty clear he's a spoiled, pampered, rich kid, but now he has to rely on her, and as it goes on, the whole thing just gets nuts. Like, he at first tries to still be the asshole boss, but she makes it pretty clear here he doesn't have a say on anything, and as the film goes on, she begins to get pretty nuts. And I guess the pros first is the film is genuinely suspenseful. It's very gripping, like for many reasons. One, you want to see how they will survive. You want to see what their relationship will become, like if they're going to come to blows, and they do at several points. And it's a real twist, back and forth dynamic, and the two actors, I think they work off each other very well. And as it goes on, it becomes pretty clear that Rachel McAdams, her character Linda, she's a bit crazy. Like, because she's wanted to be in this survivor situation, and now that she doesn't want to leave. And there's a point where they could get off the fucking island, but she chooses not to, and keeps the two of them stuck there. And it's a mix of her wanting to live the survivor fantasy, and it's unclear at first, but it's established she does seem to have an attraction to this guy, but I think it might be just a physical thing, because his personality, like Dylan O'Brien, his character Bradley, is a real bastard. But as it goes on, the Linda character, I repeat, she is fucking crazy. And as it goes on, she does a lot of things. Like I said, she deliberately prevents them from being rescued. And the way the film is set up, you're supposed to feel sorry for her, you're supposed to hate him, and while I did hate him pretty easily, I honestly had a hard time feeling a lot of sympathy for Linda, because even before they end up stranded together, in the very beginning she's portrayed as being very socially awkward and a bit off-putting, and she's a pretty annoying character from the get-go. I mean, yeah, it is cool when she knows how to do all this stuff, but as it goes on, she does a lot of pretty awful things, and some of it is well-deserved on his end, and then there are some things that are a little hard to defend. And it was a mix, because the film, it really seems like they want us to be on her side, but she does so many things that I found myself not really able to take a side as the film drifted to the end. I guess it showed Sam Raimi, he still knows how to do, put you in a very gripping situation, and there is a mix of survivalist horror and comedy here, and some pretty twisted moments. And obviously, like with it being R-rated, it would be disappointing if there wasn't some gross moments, and there are some gross moments, some pretty intense ones. But yeah, by the end, I just really couldn't get behind the protagonist, and neither character was... It was just a case where I could care less what happens to either of them. I mean, I was staying to the end, but the last part is what really made this not a film that I particularly cared for. And I mean, it's a lot more than The Monkey, which I pretty much hated from the get-go. But it is well made in terms of direction. Visually, like the island they have is, I'm guessing some of it was CGI, at least from the big shot of the whole island, but the land, the jungle they have, it is well done, and it's like a mixture of Castaway and Misery almost. That's the best way I can describe it. Castaway, Misery jammed together, and I'm very sure you would find it gripping and twisted. There are some wonderfully twisted moments, including a would-be castration scene, which is so fucked up, but it has a pretty funny outcome, and I won't spoil it here, but it's probably the most Jesus moment of the film. And the relationship between the two leads, there are some pretty interesting parts in the middle where you can tell neither one fully trusts the other, and Dylan O'Brien, he's fully has to rely on this woman who he has been awful to, and you get the feeling at times he begins to warm up to her, but then she says or does something pretty crazy, and you can tell he's terrified, and she begins to queer, like, yeah, she had a rough go, and we get some backstory with her that can kind of explain her personality, that shows she had a pretty abusive background, but at the same time, she clearly gets a lot of sadistic glee from the things she does, and while, again, he's not really a sympathetic victim, she, at the same time, does a lot of stuff that really makes it... I'm really concerned if anyone finds themselves rooting for this character, but nonetheless, I personally don't think it's worth going to, but if you're a Sam Raimi buff, it's worth probably just to see if he still has it. And the cinematography by Raimi's regular Bill Pope, top notch. And the music, which is done by his longtime collaborator and music legend Danny Elfman. It's a pretty fitting score. I wouldn't put this in the top Danny Elfman score list, but Danny Elfman, he's a good fit for Raimi, and there are some really chilling moments thanks to the music, which usually is always a very big factor in horror, and that's basically the gist. I give this movie, I'd say 2.5 out of 5, and I don't think I'll be checking it out again, but that's just me. And if you really want to know why I couldn't get behind this film as a whole, then stick around for the spoilers, but if you haven't seen the film and you don't want to know what I'm about to say, then stop here. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, where do I start? Well, I write down a list of previewing questions, and I guess the big ones are, does it flow? Yeah, it flows at a good pace, but again, it's all kind of in the writing where this movie starts to fall apart for me. And interesting, the writers of this film are Mark Swift and Damian Shannon, who have some experience in horror. They were the writers of Freddy vs. Jason, the 2009 Friday the 13th remake. And say what you will about Freddy vs. Jason, it had its flaws, but I would rather watch that than this movie again. And these two, this is the first movie that these guys have written since the 2017 Baywatch movie. I haven't seen it, but I remember a lot of people didn't like it. And I watched the Blockbuster Busters review of it, and I remember thinking, looks pretty run-of-the-mill, doesn't look like it has a lot of likable characters. And I remember with Freddy vs. Jason, the characters were, yeah, not the most likable and kind of run-of-the-mill. And movies don't have to have likable characters for me to get into them. They have to be interesting, and these two characters were interesting, but again, Rachel McAdams as Linda, it's a good performance, but I'm just sitting here wondering, are we supposed to root for her? Because next to the fact that she's yeah, the Bradley character is a fucking asshole, and there is a point where he, tries to poison her and escape, but to be fair, if you were him or just someone trapped with someone like her, and it became clear she has no intention of leaving, doesn't want to leave, I think you'd try to get away too, but nonetheless, the thing that makes me just not be able to get behind her character is there's a point in the third act where Bradley's fiance and this boat captain discover the island, and they find her, and she's very clearly doesn't want them there, doesn't want this survivor fantasy to end, and what does she do? She fucking kills them! Yeah, she kills them. That was the moment where I just was like, I don't give a shit if this character lives. And then he discovers and he just goes full vengeful fury, and in this moment, yeah, I understand it. And then we get the big twist, I guess, because the trailers kept saying, don't spoil the ending. And when I saw the trailer that had that, I was like, okay, now you're gonna have me on full alert for some kind of twist ending. And my first thought was, all this is going to be like a hallucination, or maybe somehow it's going to be connected to the Evil Dead movies. I wouldn't put this past Sam Raimi. But no, the twist, and I did not see this coming, is the island has a private resort on it belonging to some rich guy, and she tried to say that part was full of poisons and crap, which should have been a big hint, but I didn't expect that to be it. I just thought maybe that's the side that is more open to the boats, but yeah, there's a private mansion, and that's where she got some of the supplies, including a knife, which, again, there's a threat of a castration in this, which is, the payoff for it is well done, but the two have this big showdown, and it's pretty much, even though we don't see it, it's pretty much guaranteed she kills him, and eventually does get rescued. She is able to spin it to where people think she was the lone survivor of the plane crash. She survived all on her own, and now she's become a celebrity, and she's all famous, and she's even writing self-help books, and quoting what she said to Bradley earlier, you need to help yourself, or that's not what she said, but what she said was, help is not coming. And the final shot for the credits is her driving off into the fucking sunset with her pet bird while lip syncing to One Way or Another. And I just sat there thinking, she murdered 2 innocent people and did so many things that were beyond deserved comeuppance for this asshole boss. and she gets just the ultimate happy ending. I'm sorry. Once she killed those two people, any sympathy I could have had for her, any rootfulness, just evaporated. No, I honestly think it should have ended with both of them dying. This is like if someone remade Misery, but then they had Annie Wilkes come out as the victorious one. I'm just like, how can I not be frustrated by this ending? And maybe they're setting up some kind of sequel. I don't know. It was just like, maybe it's like one of those cases where the bad guy wins, but I just can't figure out if we're supposed to see her as a bad guy in the end, because from the beginning, this film just feels very misguided. That's the best way I can describe it. The writing seems to be in the wrong place, and yeah, it kept me interested, but the ending pissed me the fuck off so hard. I got nothing else to say. I was disappointed, but that's just me. Everyone else seems to love it, so maybe majority will get a kick out of it, but yeah, I think when it comes to Sam Raimi, I think I'll stick with Evil Dead 2. Still his magnum opus in my opinion, and hopefully you enjoyed this review or you stuck around to the end. I'm just hoping the next time I go to the cinema, the movie will be more satisfying and hopefully without a crackhead behind the concession stand.